But really what makes a difference is each one of us in terms of how we live our daily lives. And so do I think we need the legislation to raise awareness? And yes, absolutely. But I also think it's critically important that Oregonians really look at the impact that each of our daily footprints and figuring out how they can make a difference. So.
Do you support the Superfed
Governor,
bill?
this is Hillary from Oregonian. There is a bill that would require agencies to do more tracking, I believe, of their public records responses. And from what I've heard, the one agency that said that they have a fiscal impact on that and resulted in it getting sent away to meetings was DHS. So what is your perspective on them being the agency that, raised concerns about their ability to do more tracking of how they handle public records requests, given the focus that you have on them right now and really on improving?
So, Hillary, I'm not aware of the bill that you're talking about. Do you know the bill number?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Would you get that to Kate so we can take a look at it? But here's what we're doing with DHS in terms of public records. We're setting up a system within the agency. My expectation is the completion date is July 1st of this year, that we would have an electronic tracking mechanism so we will know what requests have been made, where those requests are, and how quickly they will be completed. And the goal, frankly, is to have a systemic process that will address all of the agency requests in a timely manner.
Governor, it's Gary Warner with the Ben Bolton. Yesterday, the Higher Education Coordination Committee funding and achievement subcommittee met, and they were talking about trying to get you, the presidents of the universities, and heads together over the summer to find a way to get the legislature to support more funding for higher education. Do you think that the message needs to be that they're disappointed with what's coming down the pipe this time? What's your reaction on that? And would you be open to this sort of powwow to try to figure out a way to get better response to the legislature?
Thanks, Gary. So in terms of the higher education budget, I made a commitment to the leadership that I would lead a process between now and next February to collaboratively with the legislature look at the higher education system in terms of how do we improve student outcomes and supports for our students. Number two, how do we increase the level of transparency and accountability in terms of spending, both at universities and community colleges? And how do we develop a system that is, all of the players are rowing in the same direction? So I made that commitment. Would I like to see more money in the higher education budget? Yes. We are still driving toward special purpose appropriation in February of 2020. But at least for the time being, my understanding, and obviously this is all relative, is that the additional $100 million is the best they can do. I will continue to support putting more money into the higher education budget. So I don't know if that answers all of your questions. Would you mind?
Let me go back on the $100 million. So they're saying $100 million rather than the 225 that you had suggested.
I think my budget, in total, my budget was roughly $250 more million than the legislative budget. That includes, let me be really clear, that includes the funding pieces that we had in the investment package. So would I like to see more in there? Absolutely. We're going to keep working to see if we can get some more resources in either this biennium or in the February 2020 session. Does that answer your question? Sure.
It does sort of. Let me just do one quick follow-up. Is that specific to the capital construction?
No. No. That's funding.
So it's now.
My understanding, so I had proposed in terms of capital construction that there be roughly 225 million of bonding capacity set aside. I've asked the HEC to develop a 10-year strategic plan around capital construction, bring that back to the February 2020 legislature. So I see that as a separate process.
Do you see that 225 million is going to show up in the budget in, I think it's House Bill 5005?
Yes, I don't know what the exact amount will be, but I'm guessing it's somewhere between 150 million to 300 million. Okay, go ahead. You've been very patient.
Do you support the pseudoephedrine bill now that it's been significantly amended, and what do you hope happens with that?
I am one of those people who cannot use Sudafed in any shape or form whatsoever. I remember the legislation that was passed to address the meth crisis. I know that Rob Bovet, who's now, I think, legal counsel at the Association of Oregon Counties, worked very hard on that legislation, as did Senator Burdick and others. I'd have to take a look at it, but generally speaking, I think it's fine for it to move forward.
In your recommended budget, as I recall, you proposed to eliminate or radically change the Department of Energy, and it looks like lawmakers are going to keep it, basically, as my understanding. What's going on with that right now?
I think we are kicking that conversation down the road, kicking that can down the road to February of 2020. Given the dynamics around House Bill 2020 and what we were asking this new agency to do, I am still very focused on making sure that happens. The timeline probably is a little bit longer than I had originally hoped.
Governor, this is Hillary Ford from the Oregonian again, and I am able to tell you the number of that bill now. It's House Bill 2431. And I just had a follow-up question on your public records process that you talked about at DHS. So you're expecting that would be in place by the beginning of July, which would mean to be paid for in the current 17-19 budget. Is that correct? The funds are already there to do that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
One of the things, Hillary, from my perspective, one of the things that's been extremely useful with the executive order, for example, normally in purchasing the software would take anywhere from 6 months to a year. Because we have the executive order in place, skirting procurement rules, I believe they've been able to purchase the software needed, or they're in process of purchasing the software in less than 6 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Just got a few more minutes.
Sure.
Anything else?
Well, sorry.
Good.
One quick question having to do with today's memorial. Senator Winters has had an impact, obviously. How do you feel on this day of a Memorial Day for the senator?
Well, it's been really interesting for me watching legislation that she had been so intricately involved in, and her work in public safety. And frankly, because she's not here, some of the issues that she cared about are falling through the cracks. And so my team and I are working hard to make sure we're picking up those pieces. The song that keeps running through my head is the Beatles song, Come Together Now. And that's what Jackie did for this building, is she brought us all together, and we're all missing her.
Governor, you were named the vice chair of the WGA during the meeting in Colorado. What does that mean that you're going to be doing in that role? And does that mean that you're going to be the next chair of the WGA?
Yes, it does mean I will be the chair. In terms of my role, I have been supportive of the organization. I think the work they do, what's unique about the WGA is that it's one of the few organizations in the country right now where Republicans and Democrats are working together. I sat down with the governor of Wyoming, Mark Gordon. Matt Mead was the last one, Mark Gordon, when I was there on Sunday, to talk with him about how we could work together in terms of energy. And I'll let you finish. You got it? That's okay, no worries. We are We've had a track record of working together around other issues, including sage grouse conservation. So what I love about this organization, it's really one of the few places where Republicans, Democrats are coming together to tackle common issues and hopefully work out bipartisan solutions. I see my role as encouraging. We haven't had great participation from all the governors in the West, and I'm committed to making sure that we have good participation from a variety of governors and that they feel like the organization is a benefit to them in their role, and that whether it's replicating best practices, one of the conference panels was on zebra and quagga mussels, so I'm taking the information back to my team and asking kind of what we're doing and what's our strategy. So it's replicating best practices, learning from each other, and hopefully deriving benefit from a region all at least talking and working together.
What can others learn from Oregon?
I think there are a couple of things that we've been able to bring to the table in terms of our work. I think the work we're doing around the Oregon Health Plan and the CCO model has been extremely effective, both in terms of providing better care to our low-income Oregonians, but also in terms of efficiencies and saving money. So that's one of the conversations we've been having with my colleagues. I was like, I feel like I'm mostly in learning mode now, even though I'm probably one of the senior governors. And some of the work we're doing around outdoor recreation in terms of bringing access to communities that have typically been excluded, I think our work will be replicated in states across the region.
Quick question about the, have you been following some lawmakers' efforts to keep the Leeburg hatchery open, and what do you think about the fate of that?
I'm certainly aware that folks are fighting to get funding for it. I don't know that, I honestly don't have enough information to sort of give you a up, down, or neutral. So,
All right.
thanks.
On another outdoor question, the Fish and Wildlife Commission on Friday approved a revised wolf plan. What is your response to that, and what do you think of how the Fish and Wildlife Commission is doing?
So we have over 300 boards and commissions that set policy throughout the state of Oregon on a variety of issues, from wolves to, I don't know if we still have the chicken commission, the poultry commission. I think what's really important about these boards and commissions is that it engages Oregonians in public policy making. In terms of the commission, obviously we have some new faces, and we'll be having some new faces in the fall. The plan itself, I was hoping that they would move a bit more towards conservation interests. They did take some steps in that direction. I think there's more steps that could be taken. I think it's really important that we work to preserve the wolf species in Oregon and continue its reintegration into the entire state. All right, you guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.